Hello everyone and welcome back to a new episode of ProBike Tour, the video series that let you discover the backstage of the most iconic brand in the bike industry. Today we are in Belgique to visit one of the most celebrated brands in Europe, Ridley. We are with Peter, the head of research and development of Ridley, that will help us to understand how the products are developed and, most important, will introduce us the people, the team behind the brand. Peter.
Hi, nice meeting you. So at Ridley we design and develop all the bikes here in Belgium in our headquarters. So we do all the work here in Belgium, and that's really important to us. Being a Belgian brand, we want to bring out Belgian products. When we make a new product, we start with brainstorming. We do that with our product managers, our sales team, our marketing team. We bring the people together and we start freestyling about how we want a new bike to look. And once we have done that, we move into the first phases of the design work. We start making some sketches. We start writing down the specifics of the bike. We want to have that bike for what we want to design it for. If it's a road bike or a gravel bike, a mountain bike, e-bikes, all the specific aspects of the bike, we bring that together. And once we have that, we pass it over to the design engineers and they will start designing the bike in 3D. So they will make a 3D model. And once we have the 3D model, the next step for us is always, and that's always a very nice step, because then we make a full-size 3D print, and then we can really touch and feel the bike. And
see your baby.
Then you see the baby, you have the baby in your hands. We cannot ride it yet, but you get a feel of the bike, you can see how it looks. And we double check if everything fits. And once we are happy with how the bike looks and with all the design aspects, then we pass it on to the production partners, who will then start doing the production of the bike for us. They will then send us sample frames. Again, we check those frames, we test them, we ride them ourselves. We have test riders that do the riding for us. And we also do the laboratory testing to make sure the bikes are strong enough. And once that is done, we need to put the icing on the cake and the cherry on the top, and that's by doing some good artwork. And since we can do the painting here in-house, we are also free to design the bikes the way we want. And then we pass it over to our graphic designers, who will pick the nice colors, will do the logo placements and do all the artwork for the bike. And then for us, the bike is good to go, and then we're always very proud of what we end up with in the end. Yeah.
We are here with Gert that will explain us all the process going in from getting the bare frame to have a full bike.
When we receive a bare frame, we start by unboxing it, and then it goes to the sanding area, where we make sure that the surface is really clear and ready for the painting department. Then some people are already printing out the decals or plotting the decals, so we can make the frame ready for the painting inside the painting area. And then the frame goes from the painting area back to the stickering area, back to the painting area, and eventually it goes through the oven. We come in the varnish section, where we put on the end layer, the varnish over the stickers, and then the frame is finished and ready for assembly.
And actually all the process is made by hand. There are people making all the process. It's not something that made by machines or robotics lines.
Exactly. Everything is done by hand, and there isn't even a robot yet that can do this automatically. So as Ridley, our unique selling point is that we sell custom bikes. So for us, within this facility, It's even possible that every bike is unique. Therefore, we have multiple persons that are putting the stickers on exactly like the end consumer asked it on the website.
So it's crazy. Basically, you can really customize the bike 100% from the colors, from the graphics, everything.
Exact. Within our configurator on the website, you have two possibilities. You start with configuring your frame in terms of colors and design. The way Ridley is written on your frame, you can choose it. And then in the second step, you can choose which group set, wheels, etc. And the cool part is actually that when you configure the colors, that you can even put your color combination in augmented reality at home in your where you're eating, for example.
Okay.
Once the bikes are finished in the painting facility, we move up to the quality check. So each bike is looked at really extensively to check for anomalies, etc. Because we really want to guarantee the end consumer the quality that we stand for. And after the quality check, we start with 4 flows. The first flow is putting the small parts in the frame. Then the second part is picking the small parts from the elevator. For example, the group set or other small components on the bike. Then you have the third process where we will pre-assemble the cockpit. We do the pre-assembling of the cockpit not on a production line because it's time consuming and a lot of work. And within the production lines, we want to be able to produce for every production line, we want to produce 1 bike a minute. And then the fourth part is the wheel assembly. So we make our own wheels externally. They come in and then we do the assembly of the tires, etc. And then as final step, every item combined, so the wheels, the cockpit, the frame and the small parts combined will get to the production lines, like you can see here on the back, and we will start assembly. We are assembling 1 bike with more than 1 person, so it depends. It can be 3 to, for example, 10 persons on 1 production line, and everybody is doing a small part of the assembly till it eventually gets finished, and the bike can move on to the packing area to be shipped out with a carrier.
We are at the Bike Valley, a unique place in Europe. It's an hybrid platform, basically, where you have different environment to push the limit of the research and development. Gwen will explain us the building and how it works.
Thank you for visiting us here in Bike Valley. We do offer 3 pillars here in Bike Valley, and the first is the incubators, so which are offices, and different companies are able to rent such an office here in Bike Valley in the building. And the second pillar is that we offer technology and innovation. It's really the heart of innovation here in Bike Valley because we do offer a wind tunnel, which is very unique in this region. We also do offer a climate room in which we can simulate 90% of the climate conditions somewhere in the world. And as third, we do offer a bike fitting room, which enables us to do detailed bike fittings. And then in Bike Valley, the third pillar we have is the event and networking pillar. So we do offer companies the possibility to come over here, do their presentation, have meetings, enjoy a bike ride, do have a lunch, and this all in this atmosphere of Bike Valley, which enables the companies to do networking here.
That sounds great, but let me understand, this place, it's open just for companies or even for private people that wants to come here and maybe use the fitting room, or maybe, why not, maybe doing their research on their bike with the wind tunnel?
Yes, you're more than welcome here. Everyone is welcome.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and not only bike-related products can be tested in the wind tunnel. So if you are doing some research on a specific item, then we can do the test in the wind tunnel as well.
And who better than the founder himself can tell us more about the brand and the people behind the company? Joachim Hart, thanks for having us today.
Thanks for visiting us, Marco.
And can you tell us a little bit more about how you started the company, why you started the company, and what's the future for Ridley?
Yeah, the start of the company was actually at the end of a cycling career that never really took off. So I was when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I was so convinced that my future would have been a professional cycling career. At the age of 19, I realized that there was a possibility to be a professional, but then more to carry the water bottles instead of the big victories. Okay. And I had the opportunity to start building custom geometry frames for the local brand BioRacer. They had steel frames and everything was custom geometry. So at the age of 19, I started to build frames, including, of course, painting, because you build a frame, you need to paint it. After 3 years, my sole customer, BioRacer, he made a proposal to take over the frame building activities. So let's say after 1993, we start focusing only on painting. Then end of the 90s, we realized that on the painting, we had a lot of competition from the East. So my customers, the big volumes, they said, I'm sorry, but you're too expensive. We're gonna have these volumes painted in Asia. So I had to reorganize the company. And yeah, looking back at the time, yeah, we had the knowledge of frame geometry, frame building, painting, design. I was still riding the bike a lot. And together with my friends who were professional by then, the ones with more talent. And so I felt we have a lot of base technology to start our brand. So let's say around 2000, we decided to put all the focus on the Ridley brand instead of being a subcontractor in the bicycle industry. If you want to start a brand, yeah, you have to do something differently because there is always enough in the market from supply. And we came into the market at a point when aluminium took completely the mountain bike scene.
Okay.
And yeah, we arrived, we entered the market with road bikes and cyclocross bikes, because cyclocross is very famous here in Belgium. And therefore we said, okay, if we start now a new brand and aluminium took over the business from steel in mountain bike, I'm pretty sure it will happen the same in road. So we made our own geometry, complete the aluminium range. And yeah, 3-4 years later, we signed the contract with Lotto Soudal and entered the Pro Tour. Already 2002, we realized, okay, the next big thing in the high end will be carbon. And in 2003, we launched our first carbon frame, completely in-house developed. Small detail was the oversized headset, which is today a standard in the industry. It was launched first brand in the world by Ridley.
It was a big adventure, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, when you join a market and you study the market and you say, okay, we have to create some unique selling points.
Yeah.
And for us, the USPs were, first of all, full aluminum range, then real development, discussing with the riders, with my friends who were doing what is good on a bike, what's not good on a bike, and everybody was complaining about stability, stiffness. The frames, most of them were still riding very thin steel tubes. Yeah. So in descents, in sprints, there's too many flexibility, so we immediately made real big tubes in aluminum. Our first carbon frame, the Damocles, I remember one of the first reviews on the bike was, it's too stiff. If you compare that bike to what we have today as a standard in the market about stiffness to weight, it would have been, yeah, spaghetti bike compared to what we have today. But compared to what was in the market, the journalist said it's too stiff. But the riders, yeah, they want to have their energy to push the bike forward. So that was a really good entering point. And I think the time to start a brand, a new brand, yeah, could have not been better than beginning of the 2000s.
And talking about technology, before we were talking about actually how the technology is changing the business today. What's about Ridley?
I think it's very clearly the world is getting faster and faster. Yeah. Changement, unfortunately, also for the environment, but it's for every company the same. I think when you really want to be there in the future, development is extremely important. Not only product development, digital development, but also environment development. And I think today, and this is what we do now here with Bike Valley, all the research focus today is really 2 points, is sustainability and safety for our customers. Because aerodynamics, in the end, we have the wind tunnel now up and running here 6-7 years. aerodynamics never change.
Yeah.
Okay, we have now some new UCI rules which you apply to the third generation of NOAH Fast. But once a shape is determined to be the most fastest, that will never change. Wind will follow always. So we decided already a couple of years ago, say, okay, now if you really do research, it's about how can we create products in the future that are more sustainable in terms of, for example, geolocation, producing more to Europe again. So we are starting up a frame production together with a Dutch company, and we will have an aluminium robotized frame production just around the corner, basically. We'll start up next year. And with carbon product, like we are developing with 100% Limburg bike, we are finding a way that you make carbon components that after the lifetime you can really separate again the glue from the fibers and reuse both. I think that's extremely important. Safety is something that can always go better, and by integrating Dyneema fibers into our product of the future, that will absolutely make our product more safe than it is already today, which is already today we have like a 0.00 issue with claims. But you know, when you make a crash, there is always, when the impact is that strong, there is always the possibility of a fork or something breaking. We want to make the next generation super sustainable and extremely safe. So I invite you guys to come over and see Bike Valley and have a Belgium cycling experience at Belgium Cycling Factory. We are at the end of this tour. I want to say thank to all the Ridley crew, because they welcome us and they let us discover everything behind the brand, in a way to meet all the people behind this amazing project. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave your comment down here. It's always super important for us to get your advice, guys. And most important, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Bye!